Amber Ford joining us, English teacher, Penny Drive coordinator, along with Todd Christensen of CapEd Credit Union. Good to have you both here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks.
Amber, tell us a little bit about your life as a teacher here, and why did you choose to go into education?
I've been at Valley View High School. This is my 7th year, and I chose to go into education because I had fantastic teachers. And that was a lot of it, was I connected with really awesome teachers when I was growing up, and I felt like I wanted to provide that to kids, kids throughout my life too.
That's right, really, with the mission of CapEd, Todd.
We like to be able to ask individuals who are in education, who inspired you to be in education, share with us one of those teachers that inspired you, and if you can recall one of those specific moments in your life that a teacher touched your life.
It was 9th grade.
That's quite a question, by the way.
I know, but I think I have an answer. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you do, because I was just trying to remember it. Yes.
English teachers,
sure,
they have it. They've got it.
I understand.
It's a vault back here.
Sure.
I grew up in the Portland area, and I grew up in Beaverton, Oregon, and I had a 9th grade English teacher. Her name was Mrs. Oldenkamp, and she was the quintessential crazy English teacher, because I think every English teacher has a quirk or a weird, they're weird in one way, but it's a good way. And I remember doing Shakespeare with her and falling in love with Shakespeare. And that was the draw, was doing Romeo and Juliet, and then I took her Shakespeare elective later.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but what about the direct objects, prepositional phrases, dangling participles?
You took that writing course last year, didn't you? Or was it earlier this year?
I did, from Great Power Learning, yeah. Learned all about that stuff. It's still intimidating to me, that whole English vibe.
It is intimidating. Like, when you get into the mechanics of writing, that can be very intimidating. And I learned that stuff, but then I had to kind of relearn it to teach it, because I realized that I'd kind of learned it implicitly, but then how do you actually explain those things and break them down to kids? And I think that's one of those parts that I think a lot of kids struggle with in English, is they get intimidated by all of the terminology and all of the technicalities.
All the rules.
Yes. The rules.
So, Valley View, what's it like here for people that, this is our first time here, so what's student life like? What's it like as an educator here?
I really appreciate Valley View for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons I really appreciate the Valley View School District is that they're very supportive of their teachers. I always feel supported by my administrators. And I feel as though the kids care about each other. I see...
Now, really?
I think, yes, because we could play the game of saying, yeah, kids care, whatever, but I see kids go out of their way for each other quite a bit. And even though people look at teenagers and think that they're selfish and that they don't want to work, I see different sides of that.
We would never say that on this radio station. We would never call kids selfish.
Oh, no, but...
when we just walking in here this morning and being able to see several students here holding the door for another student and saying good morning. And we see that here. We see it at Ridgeview. Yeah. We also see it at other areas across the valley.
We really aren't allowed to mention Ridgeview here. I didn't want to tell you that.
Well, it's the same school district.
We're
talking about the great...
I'm just saying there's a little rivalry back and
forth.
There's good rivalry on the sports field, but there's also some great creativity. The shop teacher here and the great things that he's doing. Similar to what we have over at Ridgeview and being able to do internships. That's amazing.
There he goes again.
I know our vice principal, Todd, he's going to just look at me, and he's taller than I am, and he may take me out in the back.
He's a physically imposing man, yes.
To the woodshed, but I won't say Ridgeview. That was the last time.
All I can say is we're here at Valley View. We're not at Ridgeview for this season of Promoter School. So I'm down with anybody that'll have us. So I'm all about Valley View.
Yeah. We'll have some swag for you later.
Thank you. Back to English.
Back to English.
Why is it so important?
I think it's important because English really, if it's the way that we try and structure it here, is that it's all about teaching kids how to critically think and how to read something and pull it apart and also understand what's being communicated to you and then what do you think about that. I tell my students, my job isn't to tell you what to think. That's not my job at all. You get to have your opinion. You get to believe what you want. But my job is to help you understand what critical thinking is and how to think through what you believe and why you believe that and forming coherent arguments. We do a lot of argument writing, which most of them like to have a soapbox to argue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Finally, if you could let us know just a little bit about the Penny Drive.
Absolutely. National Honor Society runs a penny drive every year, and it's called Penny Wars, and we're in the middle of that right now. It ends next Wednesday, and what we are doing is we're raising $2,000 to help 16 families within our district total that have been identified from different buildings as being in need this holiday season.
It's a lot of pennies.
It's a lot of pennies. It's lots of other things that come in other than pennies, but yeah, it's a lot of pennies. And so we're working with contacting some different vendors and businesses around the area to donate. We always get donations from different businesses of items and of money as well. So we're working through that right now.
Sure. Amber, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, Todd Christensen, we continue on talking about education. It's great to be here at Valley View. Right, at Valley View on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. You know, as the nation mourns, your thoughts on former President Bush?
You know, he's one of the first presidents, or President Reagan and President Bush were one of those first that I really recall as an individual, as a young individual. And just the gentle nature of George H.W. Bush and his legacy of public service. And I know that the media is really highlighting a lot of those things that he's done and accomplished. But great to be able to see a great statesman. Yesterday, seeing the video of former Senator Dole standing and seeing the statesman of that generation. And I think it's a great example to us in this generation, in this day and age, of how we can have arguments, and speaking with our English teacher here, of how to have debate, but have it in a civil fashion.
Indeed. What's going on at Cap Ed? We're going to see you Friday at Eagle High School.
We'll be out
right?
Friday at Eagle High School. You know, we're here promoting our school secure in our futures. We look down across, we're here on the stage a little higher in the auditorium area, but being able to look out across the students here and see that they're here early in the morning ready to learn, for us that is something that we really want to share with our community, that our future is tied to the success of these schools and the schools that we have visited over the last couple of months and years. And for us with Cap Ed, it's about making that difference and being able to have that connection to the education community.
It really is when we're talking about being all tied together. You know, we heard from the cabinet teacher, Jeff Fleshman, about, you know, the trades and how important that is. And when most people think of education, they think of, you know, secondary, post-secondary education, but really technical education is such a need here in the Treasure Valley.
It all ties together. You know, there's purpose and there's reason for higher education and academia. There's also great value and importance in the career and technical education. You know, for us as a company, we're going through several construction projects. A couple of those elements are delayed because of the demand for the trades.
Sure.
And that they're not available. And it's incredible to see that here at a high school level, the entrepreneurial activity that's taking place within a shop and being able to use advancing technology in the CNC milling and being able to expose students to that technology and how they can use it as a career.
You want to hang on for a minute?
You bet.
All right. We're going to go live to the Rotunda, live to Capitol Hill, and then we'll get our friend Dr. Lamero on. But our great friend Phil Hardy joining us, who had a chance to view former President Bush's body in state. Phil, thank you for joining us. I know we have you for a short period of time.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here. Special day here in the Capitol for sure.
Can you describe the experience of what you went through, what the nation is mourning today, who the nation is mourning?
Well, I can tell you that last night there was an enormous outpouring of people. There had been long lines throughout the day and morning before when there was open for public viewing. But last night, somewhere around between 9 and 10 and 11 o'clock, tens of thousands of people, it would seem, came out of everywhere, and the lines were just absolutely choking. I finally made it onto the ramp at about 4:30 this morning to get in. And as I was about to enter the visitor center before the rotunda itself, I came upon a couple who mentioned that they had entered the same building at 2:30, so 2.5 hours before. So people were prepared to wait 3.5, 4 hours. I personally saw Tom Luna getting into line, Lane Bangeter on the site. I finally made it into the rotunda around 5 in the morning. And, you know, the rotunda, for those of us who, or your listeners who've been there, it seems like a very large room. but last night it seemed incredibly small. The president lying in his coffin on the plinth, surrounded by his honor guard. It was very moving. They allowed about 100 people in the rotunda at a time. You could hear a pin drop throughout the entire time you were there. Some people didn't seem like they were prepared to leave after 15 or 20 minutes. Some were visibly moved. It was quite really, for some of us, probably a once-in-a-lifetime thing to take part of. And there was just such an outpouring from everyone that they wanted to pay their respects before it was time for him to go and then back to Houston.
And, Phil, could you describe the scene, the paintings on the ceiling, the statues, the honor guard, the casket? Can you take us there yourself?
Sure. What struck me by what I saw of the honor guard was just how young these enlisted men and women were. And there were 5, one from each branch. And the lead was a woman from the Coast Guard at that time. And she was without her rifle, standing ahead of the others. And she would give silent orders on when they should move, when they should bare their arms, when they should, move back and forth very slightly and subtly, surely to give them some brief moment of rest if they're not resting, but to just change their position. And they did not avert their gaze from what they were doing the entire time. It was truly a magnificent display of discipline on the part of and they were very young airmen, soldiers, Marines. It was fantastic. And of course, you look around, you look up, see the Oculus, the paintings, everything that you've ever seen before, all around you, but without the noise. If you're ever there, normally it's full of noise. There's people talking. There's tours going on. This was the exact opposite. You were separated from the president's coffin by a red velvet rope that was no more than 5 feet from the president himself. And you were allowed to stay as long as you really wanted to before others were allowed in, which really may have contributed to the length of time it took. But I think some people needed more time than others. So for me, I was there for a good 15 or 20 minutes before I left. And within the hour after that, the public viewing was over. And as we speak now, I can see on television the motorcade moving toward Capitol Hill to pick up the president and take him to the National Cathedral for his funeral, family funeral.
Phil Hardy joining us from Strategies 360 in Washington, D.C., describing viewing the president's body lying in state in the rotunda. Phil, having been there for President Reagan's viewing, it is amazing that so many ordinary Americans, along with extraordinary Americans, come together to view the body. And then you've got the shadows and the drawings and the statues. It truly is a beautiful American moment of remembrance.
Well, it certainly is for me because, I have been fortunate enough to be in that rotunda many, many times, but never for a state, someone lying in state. And it is a completely different experience, obviously, as you can imagine. But as I said, it's a very large room, but suddenly it felt very, very small indeed. It's a moment in history, and I'm just proud that I stuck it through, until the middle of the morning to be able to get a chance to glimpse what I saw.
Phil, we appreciate you. We know you're very busy. God bless you. Safe travels home, and thank you, sir.
Kevin, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our great friend Phil Hardy joining us here on KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, Dr. Lamero will be with us. Ouch. Dr. Lamero will be with us. We'll talk President Bush and more with Todd Christensen, more from Valley View on KIDO Talk Radio.
Senator McCain, most in the mainstream media, they'll do a 180 after they excoriated him when he was running for president and treated him horribly, seemingly forgetting about their nasty coverage, a pattern to destroy people's names, their character when they're alive, and then create a veneer of bipartisanship, and then we'll say nice things about somebody when the person dies. It's so transparently phony. We've got the video evidence. Take a look.
Hi there, I'm Stephanie Rule. Clearly a little broken up.
Breaking that pledge showed the character and resolve of the man to do what he was persuaded was the right thing to do economically, even though he knew at the time that it might guarantee that he would be a one-term president.
We are mourning something greater than one man in some ways. We are mourning an ideal because President George H.W. Bush was the last of the greatest generation.
Such respect for the position, the institution of the presidency.
What a special person, what a patriot, what a person of service to this country, and of just incredible decency.
And an example, too, let's praise former President Bush, who the media was never nice to. Maybe we can use that to bludgeon Trump. And when the dust of partisanship settles, history will look back on 41 as an American hero.
There we have it from our friend Sean Hannity talking about the media hypocrisy. Let's go to the phones on KIDO Talk Radio. Max joins us now from Garden City. Max, good morning.
Good morning. You know, I wasn't going to come on the air because I'm getting ready to leave, but I just can't stand it. We are wasting so much airtime on a globalist who is a mediocre president at best. Good family man, married a long time, wonderful person, head of the CIA, maybe that's not so cool. A globalist, not so cool. Mediocre president, not so cool. Only made one term, lost to Clinton. He is not a saint, ladies and gentlemen. Beatification is not in line. Canonization is not there. And you're listening to the worst lying hypocrites on the planet, the major media, as they bless him. What's going on, Kevin? Spending too much time on non-news.
Max, if you watch any channel right now, you'll see the funeral of the 41st president.
So you need to do the same. They jump off a cliff, you jump off with them?
So everybody's wrong and you're right?
No, I think that we don't. I think the public doesn't really give a rat's nose about this. I think the media is just flooding it because that's what they do. If you ask people, take a poll, ask people to call in and ask if they don't think there is just way too much media coverage on this. Ask them, see what they say.
Sure, Max. Why don't you throw out the question?
Here's the question. Do you think that there's entirely too much media attention to the death of President George Herbert Walker Bush? That's the question. Because good men, better men, die every day, and we don't do this.
And as good as they are, they weren't the 41st president of the United States.
Yeah, they weren't one of the most mediocre presidents. He stands beside Jimmy Carter as far as being an ineffective drone.
He won the Gulf War.
He didn't win a war. Come on.
He passed the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, and that's a flawed act. Read it. It goes way overboard. Federal overreach to the nth degree, creating a very special class of people. It was badly written, badly implemented. I've read it.
Well, did President Bush do anything good?
He did a number of good things in his globalist agenda, I'm sure. But he was mediocre, brother. He was not a great president, not like Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump or Thomas Jefferson or John F. Kennedy. He doesn't even stand in those ranks. He's not even in their shadow.
So we shouldn't remember him at all?
Sure we should. Fly the flag at half-mast, close the post offices, have a beautiful state funeral, invite people to come and view the dead body.
I don't know if we had a National Day of Mourning when Ronald Reagan died. I think the post offices were open.
Again, more of the inequality. We don't need to bless the media in blessing this fellow by tuning in. And most folks are not watching this. They're watching reruns of I Love Lucy, which are quite probably beating this funeral in the ratings.
Well, all right,
He's
Max.
dead.
We will
He's gone.
we will do that. By the way, Liberal Steve says
Yeah.
congratulations on your book tour. Safe travels, and remember, you can always catch us on the KIDO Talk Radio app. Maybe you'll call us from Australia and Japan.
That would be fun. And listen, Merry Christmas to everybody. The Treasure Valley is my home. It's your home. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas from Max in Garden City, who has actually thrown out the phone solicit by saying he doesn't believe the coverage of President Bush warrants it, and that do you want to see President Bush's funeral or not? 580-5436. 580-KIDO. We do wish him well. He is an author. He's getting ready to leave us for Japan and Australia. And we do urge him to check in, as we urge you to check in anytime on the KIDO Talk Radio app, available at Google Play and the iTunes Store. It's free. You can get a lot of cool things just by tuning into it. Traffic and weather together.
107's Eric Gebert.
And more coming up from Valley View next on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And I want to thank you all for joining us from Valley View High School. You can hear the announcements going on right now. We're joined by Haley Mize. She's the senior class president. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Have you get a little closer. Todd Christensen once again from Cap Ed Credit Union. I tried to give your title away a couple hours ago, so good to have you with us. Your last year in high school, everybody says that's the best year of your life. Are you buying it?
Yes, but no. I really love this school. I've done so much to get involved here and all the activities, and I'm going to miss a lot of people here because it's not just my senior class that I'm parting from. I'm parting from a lot of other faculty and underclassmen that I've gotten to know and the activities.
Well, what are you planning to do when you leave?
I do plan on attending a university, but I'm not quite sure yet or where. So we'll see where I go by the time I graduate.
Sure, you've got some time.
Yeah.
We were talking before we came on air, and you were mentioning the field that you're interested in studying, and that was pretty amazing. Want to share with us more about what you plan on studying?
Yeah. When I graduate, I want to be able to get a degree in biomedical engineering. And with that, I either want to work with sports equipment or, prosthetics for amputees and just helping people out because I like to do stuff for other people, I guess.
Well, that certainly fits in what's going on in Idaho. Why? That seems so very specific. Anything that really, honed you in on that profession?
No, not quite. I mean, I've grown up around sports and athletics, even though I've only ever played one sport in my life, but I just love that idea of being a team player and being a leader and helping other people out while bettering yourself. And so I just want to further my education, but also be able to help people in my career. And if I can work sports into that, then great. If not, then I still want to be able to help other people.
Well, you take a look at just the breakthroughs that have been happening, whether it's in prosthetics, whether it's in hip replacements in the past 5 or 10 years. Simply amazing. I was watching a video from West Valley the other night. It was just going over shoulder replacements and how common that is. Do you think that technology will continue to play a bigger role in rehab and in helping folks?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, within this field, you can design and work to create artificial internal organs. So if I can get to that level, then that'd be great.
Now, could you repeat that? Artificial and internal organs. Well,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Being able to pursue that career and that opportunity, what are some of the key things that you've learned throughout your 4 years here at Valley View?
I definitely, by my freshman year, I wasn't able to think of a career like that or even let alone know it, but I've taken some classes. Last year, I took anatomy and physiology, and I think that was a major key of getting me into it because I was just continually learning throughout the year more and more. And it was a dual credit class, so it was very challenging, but I liked it because I was able to learn more at a quicker pace than what I was expecting. So I mean, it was a challenge, but it's worth it.
So you say dual credit. Help the listeners understand what you mean by dual credit. You're here at high school, but what does dual credit mean when you're at high school?
Dual credit is where you apply, if I'm right, you apply to get these credits. Like
sure, you can take
college.
credits concurrently, right?
Yeah, that's what it.
Haley, anything else you'd like to share with us?
Valley View's a great school, and I mean, I don't really think that people get to know that.
Well, we're trying to do that today.
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. We continue on at Valley View. Anything else going on at Cap Ed? Cap Ed Todd? I think that would be your new name, Cap Ed Todd.
Cap Ed Todd. Well, I can go with that. I've been called worse, but for us as Cap Ed, we continue to be a part of our traditional base of supporting education. We do have offerings that are in the financial services, whether it be personal or business. I know here a couple of days ago we spoke about the volatility of the stock market and looking at it go up and looking at it go down. And if you're looking for a safe place to be able to put your funds, we do have some great certificate of deposit rates and terms that are available for those throughout our membership and throughout the community.
So CDs are coming back now.
CDs are coming back. We're seeing rising interest rates, and if we were talking a year or 2 years ago, we'd be talking about an extremely low interest environment on certificate of deposits or CDs. But at this point, we're starting to see those increase. The Fed has made their actions, and we understand that they're going to take additional action, maybe a little slower in this coming year. But we have a 3.35% on a 60-year term deposit. We haven't seen those type of rates in CDs for quite a few years.
Anything else we should be looking out for?
I think that I know that we're headed over to Eagle High School on Friday. We've got a twofer week here, one here on Valley View and then at Eagle on Friday. And really encourage your listeners to dive into and see what is happening inside of Idaho's great educational community, whether it be here at Valley View or the other schools that we have visited or the schools that we will visit. And as you look to your financial services, if you're new to the community, we'd encourage you to check out Cap Ed and the things that we can offer you.
Great deals on home loans, credit cards, and the like, and Cap Ed loves teachers. We appreciate it.
Cap Ed loves teachers, and we've been able to demonstrate that through our program Get Give. That's where you get $100, and you get to choose the school and the program that you want to support to give $100. And it's pretty amazing. Over the last half year, we're just over $50,000 that have been given directly to teachers into the classroom to support them with their needs within their programs or within their school.
That's a lot of money. Cap Ed Todd, I love that.
Well, we'll have to come up with K-Ed, Yo Miller, or K-Millie. I think you've already got your nicknames. So.
Got a lot. We certainly appreciate Cap Ed Credit Union and Todd Christensen always making yourself available. Are you coming out Friday? Or are you?
I believe on this Friday we'll have the other Todd Erickson, join you.
I just call him Todd Christensen, by the way. You branded me so well there.
Well, Todd Erickson, we'll give you a couple of days to make sure that that's well known in your brain when you introduce him next Friday.
All right. Thank you, Todd.
Always a pleasure. Glad to be out here. Good to see the great things taking place here at Valley View High School, and have a good day.
Yeah, great to be here at Valley View. We go to Tom in Nampa, who joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tom.
Well, good morning. I'm glad I had a little cooling off period there to wait because I was pretty hot after that call. The guy that talked about wasted airspace, I don't know why he bothered to call in this morning to rip, a president in a time of mourning, a former president. I'm really pleased with the way you're handling all this. For George Bush, he didn't rank among my top favorite presidents. I did vote for him twice, however. But I think it's rather customary in this country when a former president dies to have a time of mourning to say some good things about him. And, I think this leaves Jimmy Carter as the oldest living president and probably the longest former president. It's been, 38 years since he was president, alive anyway. And I'm sure he'll pass on this seat pretty soon. And while he wasn't he was probably one of my least favorite presidents, I'll at least have a decent view, try to say something nice about him, or not say anything at all when he passes during that, at least that period of time right after the death when the nation is mourning. And I don't know, it just seems kind of crummy that people haven't got enough class to I didn't like them, just keep quiet at this particular time. As far as Americans with Disabilities Act, there was a lot of hue and cry, oh, this will cost business and the country more money. But, you know, I think now that it's harder for me to get around, and it's nice to have ramps so that I can walk up at the post office. And then we also have curbs that people in mandated curbs in cities for, you know, if you got a scooter or something. And I just hope that particular caller thought it was a bunch of overkill. Never has to get in a position where he has to ride one of them scooters, because if he does, he'll need to thank President Bush that there's now able to get up onto the sidewalk at the curb thanks to the Americans with Disabilities Act. So anyway, that's about all I got to say for today. And I really thought that was kind of neat that Dole, who's actually a year older than Bush, stood to salute him. Dole's 95. There aren't many World War II veterans left, and I think we need to salute every last one of them because they were indeed the greatest generation. And in another 10 years, there won't be any up left. So anyway, have a good day, Kevin.
Thank you, Tom. God bless. And, you know, that's what we're talking about this morning at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Many of you have been critical of our mentioning President Bush and his funeral and a life well lived. You may disagree with someone politically, but does that mean you don't honor them and their service to our nation? 580-5436. 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller live from Valley View High School on KIDO Talk Radio.
If animal rights activists get their way, we'll soon be saying bring home the tofu, not the bacon. A university researcher in the United Kingdom says common expressions like bring home the bacon or kill two birds with one stone may eventually fall out of usage as more people embrace vegetarianism and veganism. Groups like PETA, of course, love this. In fact, it's urging teachers to stop using the phrases like beat a dead horse to their students, claiming they perpetuate violence against animals.
Well, we hope you like that one here at KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning here at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Still have time for your phone calls. We've got Glenn Beck coming up next, more of the coverage of President Bush, remembering him. Here's something that, you know, going back to this story where the Twitterverse is fired up because PETA says, you know, you shouldn't use these terms. So, again, words are power, if you will. Instead of using kill two birds with one stone, PETA wants you to say feed two birds with one scone. It gets crazier because we've gone on and on about this, just the craziness of the words and everything else of how people just go crazy. Recently, you know, we were talking about the state of California, where they're suing the government because the government is actually doing its job enforcing the borders. You've got Dick's Sporting Goods, their stock going down, Meghan McCain versus Joy Bear. But I love this. Be the guinea pig. PETA wants you to say be the test tube. By the way, and this goes back to yesterday's conversation with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph is bad. Rudolph is bad. Rudolph gets bullied. We need to pull it because we don't want to teach kids to overcome adversity. We want to teach them just to shy away from it. So it plays to how our little friends, the devious little libs, are trying to change our culture. Going back to PETA, they don't want you to say beat a dead horse. Why? Because that's a bad saying. Feed a fed horse. That's what they want you to say. And by the way, if you've ever seen the movie Demolition Man, where you're running around and if you say a profanity or anything that is purposely politically incorrect, that you get fined. A little bell rings like on your phone. Is that what we're coming to? Here's another one. You're not supposed to say bring home the bacon anymore. No, no, no. Don't say bring home the bacon. That's bad. Now, what would you substitute bring home the bacon with? How about bring home the bagels? Now, whether you love the bagels or not, chances are it doesn't have the same when it comes to your appetite. How about take the bull by the horns? It is being replaced by take the flower by the buds. craziness when you're thinking about this. Silly PETA, tricks are for kids. So just a little thing to pass the day, if you will. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Still have plenty of time to get in your thoughts concerning former President Bush now being laid to rest, or I'm sorry, his funeral going on now at the National Cathedral, where you'll have leaders from around the world, former leaders, as well as current ones that have the mantle of stewardship. And it's funny where we have people like Max and Tom Munns and others that have said, look, he was a globalist. He was this. But does that mean you don't honor our president?
Our 41st president, George H.W. Bush.
President George Herbert Walker Bush.
You know, a life well lived.
The totalitarian era is passing. Its old ideas blown away like leaves from an ancient, lifeless tree. A new breeze is blowing, and a nation, refreshed by freedom, stands ready to push on. There's new ground to be broken and new action to be taken. There are times when the future seems thick as a fog. You sit and wait, hoping the mist will lift and reveal the right path. But this is a time when the future seems a door you can walk right through, into a room called tomorrow. Great nations of the world are moving toward democracy, through the door to freedom.
Now remember, he was talking about the end of communism, and what anybody over 40 remembers communism, and how devastating it was that we worried about the Soviet Union destroying us. Now we worry about communist China destroying us, or North Korea, or anybody else, but it was us versus them. And when we saw the great Soviet empire collapse, it was President Bush that got us through.
To solve our country's social problems, we need people, we need every individual to respond to the problems right around them. And when each American is no longer willing to accept that someone on their street or someone on their town is homeless or jobless or friendless, then that's when we will truly renew America, when everybody understands that they're going to help their neighbor.
Kind of like here in the Treasure Valley. 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get you to work or wherever you're going.
For a better America, for an endless, enduring dream and 1,000 points of light. This is my mission, and I will complete it.
Tea Party Bob joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. You know, I have one thing to say. For being a doctor, Max does not seem to have very much compassion for the dead. And all I can say is that what goes around comes around. So I would be careful what I say. You know, George Bush, for all of his faults and for all of the problems that he may have had, he was still a president. And you need to respect him, and you need to respect the office that he held. And the other thing is, the guy is dead. Give him a break. Why do we need to berate him in this hour of mourning? It just doesn't make any common sense to me anymore. I don't know where some of these people are coming from. Do me a favor, wake some of them up for me, please, because I can't take it anymore. We need to change. We need to get better. We need to start understanding that the people who run for office, especially for the presidency, this is not an easy job. If you think Trump didn't give up a life, a real good life, to do this, you're all nuts. I don't know anybody who would have done what he's done. I mean, a lot of the others are just politicians. That's how they grow up. But you have to have respect for this office. It's the most powerful position in the world. And you can't always make the right decision. So if Max has a few problems, tell him to get over it. I hope you have a great day, Kevin.
Thank you, Tea Party Bob. Pro-Life will bring us home. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, you know what we're doing is we're taking the families and the presidents and making them kind of like royalty, and that's not right. And so Max is right. in lots of his viewpoints. If we had funerals where the president's family would really promote like Christianity if they were Christians, but our families of the presidents are not really Christians. They're just kind of milk toast kind of